Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's great to be with you. Today, we're going to be talking about controlled substance tracking using Vector Solutions Check It. My name is David Haynes, and I'm joined today by Kevin Znielik. I'm a solutions engineer. I've been with Vector for about 8 months now, and I come from a background in the fire service. I retired after 26 years in fire and rescue in the Oregon area. Kevin, great to be with you today. Can you tell us a bit about you?
Sure. So my name's Kevin. I'm the product manager for Check It. So I deal a lot with the prioritization of the different features we're working on. I deal really closely with the development team to make sure we're building things how our customers want them to be built and how they'll be the most useful and user friendly. And I work on things like the roadmap to make sure that we're covering what's going on in the public sector field and making sure that we're doing things that we need to stay up to date and current.
Thanks, and it's great to join you to work through this today to talk about controlled substances. The specific things we'll be talking about are the life cycle you can see on the screen, sort of the life cycle of how controlled meds tracking can work through Check It. We'll take a look at the mobile app for field use, which is very simple and streamlined. Some of the configuration options that you have to customize it to your agency, as well as security options for this as well. And then finally, we'll take a look at the reports and data that you can see and keep permanently for auditing, for tracking, for everything to do with controlled substances. And with that, we'll dive right in. The first thing being like, what is Check It? And Check It is one of a suite of products with Vector Solutions specifically geared towards the public sector. We also have a learning management system known as Target Solutions. A lot of folks are familiar with that, especially in the fire side. We have EHS management, which can track occupational safety, injuries, things like that. Check It, which we'll dive into here in just a moment, but it's not just about controlled substances. It also does all kinds of other functions, including ticketing and work orders for repairing apparatus or station maintenance, things like that, even IT, or of course, things like rig checks, inventory management, equipment management with regard to, say, high value items like maybe cardiac monitors, things like that. And then finally, scheduling, which is also a public sector focused product that's specifically for managing your accruals, managing, scheduling crews and personnel on whatever type of schedules you might have. So, but Check It is the one that focuses specifically on inventory, including controlled substances. And from there, let's take a look at controlled substances using Check It. The first thing we're going to cover today, a lot of times we start with the mobile app, but today we're still going to look at the mobile app. But the first thing we thought we'd take a look at is the life cycle of controlled substances. And the way that works is in Check It, controlled substances can come in. There's two different ways to approach it, but controlled substances can come into a master supply location. And whether or not your particular agency receives your controlled subs from, from a shipment, or maybe in the field, folks go out to hospitals or pharmacies to do pickup in the field in real time. Check It can handle either one. We'll get into that a little bit further. But in this case, we're taking a look at one where there's like a central supply that's like a master storage. And everything with controlled substances is kind of isolated away from the other inventory functions of Check It. You can use Check It to inventory your other meds, epi and anything else that you're carrying, all your other medications, but anything that's controlled substances, including in this case, you're seeing one right here. That's not necessarily a DEA Schedule II substance, but maybe your agency particularly wants to manage it this way. That's fine. And then the way the life cycle works is from this master supply, you can transfer controlled substances to other places that are set up to receive them. And this can either be other storerooms, or it can be drug boxes on particular units. Maybe it's an ALS engine in the fire service, maybe it's medic units, or in the private ambulance world, it might be, say, a field supervisor who has a stash or cache of meds that they then distribute as they go along to the various medic units. So that's how that works. You would just pick and move whichever meds you want. And as you can see, this is just a transfer, and this is something that's permissioned, so not everyone would have permission to do this. But you can count what's being moved. It is tracking lot numbers and expiration dates both. And you can have dual signatures to meet the DEA requirements. I'm not going to actually go through and transfer this, but we'll take a look at what happens here in just a minute. And if there's any questions, again, please feel free to ask. And also, Kevin, if you have anything to add as we go through this, please jump right in. And again, the one other thing to mention here is that there is the option, like I said, for having a field pickup, meaning at a hospital or a pharmacy, if that's how your particular agency works. So as you can see, it's very simple. And when meds first enter the system, you also have the ability to upload and keep track of your Form 222. You can track your vendor, any cost, purchase orders if you like. Some people use cost tracking, some don't. It's fine either way. But you can save your Form 222s here for the DEA as well, and also again have those dual signatures, which are pretty advisable at every step of the way. So that's a quick overview of how the life cycle works. It starts as a restock. I got a little bit of out of order on you there, but it starts as a restock and then it's transferred around to the various locations that you might want to store it. Maybe it goes directly onto ambulances and you don't need that intermediate storeroom, and that's fine too. So from there, let's take a look at the mobile app. And first, I'll let you know a little bit about the mobile app. We have a very robust mobile app that can handle all different functions of CheckIt, including, say, equipment and apparatus checks, but specifically for controlled substances. This is a mobile app on Android and iOS. There's no extra charge for the app, and it works on cellular connections and Wi-Fi both. So basically, if you have a mobile device, whether it's a tablet or a phone, and a connection, you can have CheckIt. And for controlled substances specifically, there's really two main things to happen in the field. And those are counts or custody changes, kind of the same thing, or usages. And the way those work is very simple, and I'll run you through right now. We'll do a count first. In this case, we're just looking at a particular unit. This is a medic unit, and we're going to start their controlled substance count. You click on the drug box. It is possible for a unit to have more than one box if you like. If there's a seal, that can be tracked if you use seals. And then you'll see right here on this screen, there's several ways to set this up, but in this case, it's showing the medications that are in there. And by clicking on these tiles, you can drill right in and see the individual lot numbers, as well as the expiration dates to confirm them. It is possible to set it up so that these aren't pre-filled and people have to confirm that as they go. And then in this case, there's just dual signatures. The person who's logged in is first, and then you can select from your employees to have a witness. Hit submit, and there's a verification, and you're done. Now a count happened, and we'll take a look in just a minute at all. Of course, you have records and data on all this. So it's very simple. There are some other options we'll get into as well. For example, you can have PIN number security on top of the signatures, as well as facial recognition as well. So there are other security options besides just signatures. I'm just using signatures to make it go quick. Now let's take a look at a usage. Here's how usage works. You have some extra fields you can enter, including, say, a run number, an EPCR number. And when you do this usage recording is really up to your agency's practices and policies. You might be doing it at the scene after you're cleaning up. You might be doing it in the rig afterwards, at the hospital after the patient handoff, whatever works best for you as far as when it happens. But to report it, you just select the medication. In this case, you'll see that there's two different lots here. That's because we're carrying two different lots. So you do need to verify, okay, which one are we using? Whoops. And then put in your dosage. It will automatically calculate the wastage for you, as you can see right here. Same as before, signatures. And this also shows that there is an option, if you like, this is something you configure in the settings, to have an outside witness instead of just people from your agency. They sign as well, and you're done. It's that simple. You'll see right over here, there's an indicator that's come up that now indicates that drug box is below its designated inventory of of a particular med, just to indicate, hey, it's running low. If you do have another call or you do need to do multiple usages, that's no problem. You can just keep doing them in line for as long as you have meds in the box. So it's really that simple, and those are the two main things that happen on the mobile app. And from there, we're going to hop back to the desktop. We're going to talk about some of those configuration options that I mentioned earlier. Controlled substances is a separate module that's built on top of the standard Check-It application. So you add this on separately. It has completely separate permissions. So you have very granular control over who can do what. And the way permissions work in Check-It is based on roles. For example, you can have as many as you like, and you set up different roles. And you might have, let's say I'm going to scroll down here to a paramedic role. And here's the different permissions in the whole system that you can set. But right down here at the bottom are the ones specific to controlled substances. So as you can see, in this case, we've given the paramedic the permission to say do disposals and counts and transfers, and of course administrations, but not to bring things in to master supply, not to restock, not to do the overall management of controlled substances. So of course you can have someone else who's sort of your program lead or administrator who can do that type of thing. Excuse me, and that's how the permissions work. But there's lots more options to set up specific to your agency. And here's where a lot of that happens. The first thing here is one of the options that the system does have right here is with this switch, where if you have an agency where you need to track each individual vial based on like an individual serial number, which sometimes happens if you're using a Pyxis machine or you're using a hospital or pharmacy pickup, where everything has its own individual serial number, we do have that capability that can be turned on. So most agencies usually are tracking by the lot number. They just know that they have so many vials of this lot number with a given expiration date. But if you do need to track individual serial numbers, we can absolutely do that, and that's where that gets set up. There are a bunch of other options here to configure as well, including requiring a 4-digit PIN number, like we talked about earlier, as well as facial recognition. And this is also where the movement settings happen. For example, if you want to have a single signature or dual signatures, excuse me, as well as some of the notification options. And the other thing that is useful that you can do here is back here, you're able to set up escalation policies in a very flexible way. So let's say you have certain units where you want them to have a daily check performed by 8 o'clock, and a certain notification will happen, and this can happen by email and or text message. You can have that happen at say 8 o'clock, and then if the check still hasn't been completed by, in this case, noon, you can have a further escalation. You can have different escalations for different boxes. So maybe a supervisor's unit might have something different than say field medic units. No problem with that. But that's one of the other options you have to keep in touch with. Are things actually getting checked, and are you meeting the requirements to check them all the time? So those are just sort of a quick overview of some of the configuration setup with that. I don't see any questions coming in so far, but I think what we're going to do at this point is run a quick poll question and get some feedback from folks in the audience. So let me throw that up here really quick. And you should be seeing that on your screen now. And the question is, how do you track controlled substance checks and usage right now? Maybe it's paper, maybe it's a spreadsheet. We've seen a lot of folks using spreadsheets. Maybe some of you are already using Vector Check-It or another application that's a different one. So if you could take a few minutes or a few seconds just to let us know, and we'll show you the results. Give it a few more seconds. Looks like we've got a few of each and a lot of one. And we'll go ahead and show that to everybody. And here's the results. It looks like the vast majority are on paper, with a few using other things too, including Vector Check-It. And while we take a look at that, I am going to change over so that we'll be looking at Kevin's screen. And Kevin's going to talk to us a little bit about reporting and all the data and options that you have to see the data that's generated from controlled substance checks.
All right.
Okay, there it goes. I think it switched to you, Kevin.
Sweet. David, thanks for that awesome overview. That was I know that was a lot of information, but I think that also is kind of a nice little glimpse into all the different things that Check-It can actually do to help, especially move from paper to an application to make things easier on really anyone. And it's not just about performing the actions of a handoff, account transfers, or actually restocking your supply. But there's another important part of tracking controlled substances, and that's actually tracking it via reports. And Check-It does offer some pretty good options in that land. So to start off, we're going to show this on hand tab, which is really just a nice glimpse of, a way to see all of your drug quantities across all of your controlled substances. So you can see here that you can select a specific station or location that you're looking for. And then down below it, it will actually show you the specific controlled substances that you're tracking and where they exist and how many different lots or vials exist for them. So you can actually see that, you have fentanyl across 5 different locations, and you have 7 different lots. So it really just depends on where you're looking for, but this is a really good way to drill and to see where all of your drugs are located, how many you have, and to highlight any expirations or any possible diversions that you may notice on your own. The next part of that is the audit log. So the audit log is one of the first reporting tools that we added with the controlled substance module. And it's a really good way to see an overall view, sort of like the on-hand tab, but a little more in depth to track where everything actually is, who's doing the specific movements like transferring, who's doing the handoff, when it was done, and really to dig into the specifics of those movements that your agency is actually performing. So there's a lot of cool different filters here that can help you kind of drill in to find specific things that you're looking for. Obviously, first we give you different a calendar tool to select the different dates that you want to search for. So if you need to look back to 1 year, January to January, you have the ability to do that and to see all the different movements within that time period. Or if you need to find a specific discrepancy that you know happened that you need to investigate back in May, you can do that as well by selecting that date from the calendar. Another cool thing is that you can select the specific location. So you can see where the drug is coming from or to. We offer this for both your apparatuses or storerooms, so you can select that here. We give you the ability to show deleted locations, and what that means is if you delete a location but you need to go back and track it, we will actually show it in the filter here for you to be able to audit that. We also do specific by types, so you can filter to look for all of the usages within a period of, from May 1st to today. The other thing we do is we allow you to select a specific controlled substance. If you need to look into a specific crew member and see what they've done, you can do that as well by selecting the personnel. And if you need to find specific discrepancies, so what was a mistake and what was a possible diversion, you can do that as well here. The next development that we did from a reporting standpoint was we actually added a dashboard, and I'm going to go back to the Audit Log in a second to show how you can differentiate between these two. But the report is going to show you a nice Excel sheet of everything that has been done. It shows you the time, the move type, was it a count, was it a transfer, the location. And what we do here is we make the filters easily accessible on your right-hand side. So you can select specific movements, disposals, counts, restocks. You can select the location, and you can select the item name or the user, or if you're looking for someone who is specifically a witness to account or transfer or etc., you can look that here. Specific lot numbers or vial numbers if you're tracking by that vial number. And then we also give you the ability to download this as a CSV file, PDF, image. We really try to make it easy for you to be able to get this information printed out and use it for if you are either getting audited or if you're just looking for some specific information in a certain time period. And the last thing I want to show you with the audit log is that the way to differentiate these two is that the audit log is meant for you to specifically dig into a specific movement or to be able to find a specific thing that happened over a given period of time. So if you click on this, we actually bring up the details of that movement. You can see the signature from the primary user and the signature from the witness user. You can see how much of the vial was used, how much was wasted. And that is something that you actually control when you're performing this action, from the mobile app or web, but most likely the mobile app. You can select these numbers. And then if you did a run number, or if you added an EPCR number or seal number, it would show up here and along with the notes. And from this page, you actually also have the ability to export it as well. And what it will do is it will export it as a CSV file. And that way you can get all of your information in one place there as well.
That's super helpful. So you can get that out as a spreadsheet if need be and use it with other systems, compare it to, say, your purchasing and that type of thing as well.
Exactly.
That's super powerful. There's a lot going on there. And having worked in the field, I know sometimes, for better or worse, sometimes you do need to look at a specific person, even a specific med used by a specific person in the field, just to make sure everything's in order or to investigate if something is amiss. And it's really important, in our field to be able to have all these records, not just to spot problems, but also to be able to prove that you're doing things right. A lot of times we focus on what happens when the DEA comes calling or other regulatory agencies, but part of it is just having all your records so you can prove that you're running a tight ship with regard to controlled substances. And this records, all these different records and reports are how you do that.
Yeah, it highlights some of the things that are really important, which is to make sure you're maintaining compliance, make sure you're improving accountability, make sure you have an easy way to track all of the different things that are going on within controlled substances at your agency, and making it and giving you an easy way to get a snapshot overview of all the medications across your stations at any point in time. So it really is a really good comprehensive view to make sure that you're doing things the right way and to make sure that everything is in compliance, kind of like that.
Yeah, that's pretty important. And you had a key word right in there, which is accountability. That's really a lot of what this is about, is accountability both internally, accountability to our customers, whether you're a private agency or a public service, and then accountability up the chain if there is a investigation or something that you need to prove or disprove later on. Accountability is really key. Anything else to show there, Kevin, or?
No, that was really it.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much what we wanted to show you really quick, was a quick run through of the way the life cycle works. And actually I left something out of the life cycle, which is also disposals. But basically that is that if you do have things that are, say, when things are expired, not everything gets administered, but sometimes things are expired, need to be destroyed. And it does have the ability to track that, of course, as well. That's another thing that you can input and get records on later as part of the life cycle. But yeah, we wanted to show you the life cycle, how the mobile use works, a few things about the configuration, the different options you have, and then of course the reporting. Thanks, Kevin. That was a good look at that. It was concise and quick, but also showed a lot. So I'm going to take the screen back once more for just a second. And I don't see any questions. If you do have any questions to add, please go ahead right now and throw them in. If you are interested in the product, I'll put a link in the chat once I click correctly. There we go. So you can click on that and go directly to a website that dives into lots more stuff about Check It in general, not just controlled substances. And then finally, do remember that this is part of our larger suite of products, including the Learning Management System, Target Solutions, Evaluations Plus is part of also for field evaluations of both EMS and fire personnel, any type that you like. Scheduling for workforce management, and then of course the larger Check It app, which can do lots more than just controlled substances. So still not seeing any questions coming in, but definitely feel free to click that link, or there's more contact info on the screen. Thanks very much for joining today, Kevin. Any closing thoughts or anything?
No, thanks for giving such a great overview of the controlled substance part of Check It. It's something that we really take pride in, especially on the development team side of things, and making sure that we're going to make our customers' lives a little easier, and make sure that we're doing things the right way.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be a partner for you and your agency to help make sure that you're having the best, most efficient operations that you can, and as well as the most accountable. And all of our different products work on that. So I do see one question that just popped in. What I will do is follow up with you offline with an answer to your question for the one that just came in. And otherwise, thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you again, Kevin, and thanks to Vadim, we didn't mention, who's behind the scenes making sure everything runs smooth and looks good. And we appreciate your time and hope to talk to you again soon about Check It or any of our other products. Have a great day.